He was a man who commanded respect, a figure of authority whose presence resonated with power. Colonel David Russell Williams, an elite pilot and a shining star of the Royal Canadian Air Force, had ascended to the pinnacle of his profession. By 2004, he was the commanding officer of CFB Trenton, Canada's largest Air Force base, overseeing over 7,000 military personnel. His uniform, adorned with medals, was a testament to a distinguished career, his title a shield of unimpeachable credibility. Doctors, lawyers, police officers, all afforded him the traditional courtesy of addressing him by his professional rank, each interaction bolstering his composure and self-assurance. He was, by all accounts, an untouchable pillar of society. Yet, there was one man who would challenge this carefully constructed facade, a man who would purposefully strip away his rank and dismantle his confidence. That man was Detective Sergeant Jim Smyth, and the day they met, the Colonel's world began to crumble. 10 days earlier, on January 28, 2010, the illusion of peace shattered in the quiet town of Belleville, Ontario. Andy Lloyd received a frantic call from his mother. His younger sister, 27-year-old Jessica Lloyd, had vanished. She hadn't shown up for work, her phone unanswered, her texts unread. Andy raced to her isolated home on Highway 37, no signs of forced entry, yet Jessica was gone. Her doors, typically left unlocked, had offered no resistance. All her personal items, phone, passport, driver's license, remained inside, a chilling indication that she hadn't left voluntarily. Ottawa, known for its remarkably low crime rate and reputation as Canada's safest city, rallied immediately. Resources were abundant. A full-scale missing persons investigation launched, involving an entire division from the Ottawa Police Force, over 2,000 public volunteers, and even a specialist search and rescue unit from the Canadian Air Force. The media amplified the alarm, and within 48 hours, a crucial tip emerged. An anonymous caller reported driving past Jessica's house around 3 a.m. on the night of her disappearance. He had noticed an SUV parked in an unusual spot in a nearby field, a sight he'd never seen in thousands of previous drives. Something, he said, just felt off. Police descended upon the area. Beneath the dew-kissed grass, a critical clue emerged: distinct tire tracks in the field, leading to boot prints that walked directly up to Jessica's house. These were the first significant pieces of evidence, forming the foundation for the desperate search that followed. Roadblocks were swiftly erected across the surrounding area. For 4 days, officers meticulously stopped every SUV that passed, hoping to match the elusive tire tracks. Over 200 vehicles were inspected, but luck eluded them. Just as they considered reassigning manpower to foot patrols, fate intervened. At approximately 7:30 p.m. on February 4th, a sports utility vehicle was pulled over. The driver was none other than Colonel Russell Williams. He appeared polite, nonchalant, and utterly unaware that this seemingly routine traffic stop would be the beginning of the end. After just 90 seconds, he was sent on his way. But unbeknownst to him, he was immediately placed under surveillance. His tires were a perfect match for the tracks found near Jessica Lloyd's house. 2 days later, on Sunday, February 7th, Williams received a call from Ottawa Police Headquarters. They requested his presence for questioning regarding an ongoing investigation. The Colonel, without inquiry, agreed to attend, telling his wife he'd be back for dinner. He arrived shortly before 3 p.m., where he was greeted not by a deferential subordinate, but by Detective Sergeant Jim Smyth, a seasoned investigator and polygraph technician from the Policing Behavioral Sciences Unit. The interrogation began. Smyth, with a calm yet deliberate tone, gestured to a chair. "All right, you just have a seat." He moved Williams' gloves, adjusting a small microphone. "Everything in this room is videotaped and audio taped. Ever been interviewed by the police in a room like this before?" Williams, composed, replied, "I have never been interviewed like this. Closest to interviewed by S for top secret clearance." Smyth nodded, then deliberately dropped the formality. "Well, again, Russell, I appreciate you coming in." This informal address was no oversight. It was a calculated psychological maneuver. Smyth immediately began to strip away Williams' elevated platform, aiming to erode his confidence. This tactic, designed to increase telltale signs in body language and intonation when information is fabricated, also decreases cognitive stamina, making it harder for an individual to maintain a facade. Smyth continued, his voice even, yet subtly pressing. "An investigation like this, I'm sure you can appreciate it's been big news. especially down Belleville Way. Our approach to cases like this is that we don't give up on somebody being alive until we get evidence that they're not. So, we're treating Jessica's case as an active situation. He explained the urgency, the Sunday afternoon meeting, and the need for a pretty thorough interview. He offered coffee, reinforcing a superficial sense of camaraderie before laying down his simple rule. I treat everybody with respect. I ask you to do the same for me. Before delving into specifics, Smyth reviewed Williams' rights, clarifying he was not under arrest and free to leave at any time. The door's not locked. Theresa will walk you down to the lobby anytime you want. Yet, a subtle, subconscious strategy was already in play. Smyth had positioned himself between Williams and the door, a subliminal message telling the subject that escape meant going through him. Then came the first wave of true pressure. Smyth revealed the broader scope of the investigation. Jessica Lloyd is one of 4 cases we're currently investigating. Over the past 4 or 5 months, there have been 4 occurrences. He detailed 2 sexual assaults in September 2009 in the Tweed area involving women's houses entered in the evening. During 2009, the quiet town of Orleans, Ottawa, had also seen 34 break-ins and attempted break-ins, resulting in the theft of hundreds of intimate female garments, 1 rape, and 1 forcible confinement. All these incidents occurred not far from Williams' home. Then, a more chilling revelation. In November of 2009, a young lady by the name of Marie France Como was found murdered in her home in Brighton. Corporal Marie France Como, a 37-year-old military traffic technician stationed at CFB Trenton, had been raped and suffocated to death. Williams was now the prime suspect for all these infractions. Smyth listed the potential charges: first-degree murder, kidnapping, sexual assault, break and enter with intent, forcible confinement. Clearly, he stated, when we find out who's responsible for one or all of those crimes, they could be charged with one or all of those offenses. Whether it's you or whether it's anybody else. Williams was asked if he wished to call a lawyer. Nope. He responded, his voice betraying a hint of unease. He acknowledged the proximity of the Tweed attacks to his vacation home. The detective noted the colonel's discomposure, a gut instinct that an experienced investigator instinctively recognizes. Smyth reiterated, those 4 cases are of concern to us, and you've kind of almost hit the nail on the head about some of our issues that kind of make us want to talk to Russell Williams. Because essentially, there was a connection between you and all 4 of those cases. Would you agree? Williams paused, then conceded, I guess I drive past. Yes, I would have to say there is a connection. The interrogation shifted to gathering pretext, an initial alibi from the suspect before the confrontational phase. Smyth wanted details of Williams' movements over the past 4 days, hoping a relaxed suspect would provide more information to scrutinize. Williams' answers became increasingly vague, filled with, I'm not sure, and I can't remember. He claimed to have been at his Tweed cottage all week, suffering from a stomach flu on Friday. When asked about the murder of Marie France Como, Williams recalled receiving an email notification. I'd only met her once, he stated, soon after I got to the base. August, September. But pressed for his schedule that week, he again stumbled. No, I can't remember what day of the week. I just think there was a whole bunch of activity spun up as a result. This was the 3rd time he'd claimed memory loss. Unlike a normal interaction, where reassurance might be offered, Smyth remained stoic, his gaze unwavering, allowing the uncomfortable silence to build. If we were to do a similar investigation into your background, Smyth pressed, is there anything you can think of that anybody may have misinterpreted, that somebody might say Russell Williams absolutely did this? Williams' response was a weak attempt at humor. No, it'll be very boring. Smyth then moved to the core of the confrontation. Given the types of crimes we're investigating, do you get much chance to watch television shows, CSI, things like that? Williams admitted to preferring Law and Order, but watching CSI occasionally. So, you have an idea of obviously the forensic capabilities. What would you be willing to give me today to help me move past you in this investigation? Would you be willing to supply things like fingerprints, blood samples, things like that? At this point, the police possessed only 2 pieces of significant evidence, the tire tracks and the boot prints outside Jessica Lloyd's residence. The DNA found on Marie France Como was not admissible due to decomposition, and only 1 sexual assault victim had male DNA from the least severe attack, with no exterior links to the murders.